More than 3,000 people turned out for the Arlington High School tour to see the results of years and years of town planning, designing, and building. What did they learn? Well, it's a long way from slide rules, overhead projectors, and cursive writing paper. Another ACMi exclusive report. U.S. State Department experts say Russia may use its so-called Victory Day to ramp up its military might in Ukraine. We talked to a couple living in Kyiv to get their take on the current brutality taking place in their homeland. And have you ever wished to broadcast a local athletic event, either in front or behind the camera? ACMi is looking for you. Who knows, as a result of your efforts, you could be the next John Madden, Dick Enberg, or Mel Allen. Just think about it. You could go all the way. ACMi News is next.
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered. We're your neighbors, a friend you can turn to, giving you stories that count from people who care, dedicated, determined, dependable. This is ACMi News.
Jennifer Raitt, Arlington's Director of Planning and Community Development, is leaving her position after 6 years of service. Hello, I'm Drew Weisberg.
And I'm James Madden. Glad you could join us. Ms. Raitt has accepted the position of Executive Director of the Northern Middlesex Council of Governments, which is a regional planning agency based in Lowell. Raitt led a number of DPCD initiatives since taking the helm here in 2016. Some highlights include implementing the Master Plan, the Arts and Culture Action Plan, Arlington's Net Zero Action Plan, and bringing the Boston Rapid Transit Bus Priority Lane to East Arlington, as well as Arlington's Fair Housing Action Plan. Arlington Town Manager Adam Chapdelaine weighed in on Raitt's track record in town, telling Your Arlington, quote, "Her work on housing, climate, arts and culture, conservation, historic preservation, economic development, and transportation will benefit Arlington for years to come. I am very grateful for her excellent work and service to the town." Meantime, Raitt had this to say.
I'm very proud of everything that we've done together. I just can't believe how much work we've been able to accomplish, and a lot of setting the stage for so many more exciting things to come for the town. And I'm very proud of the team at the Department of Planning and Community Development and all of the wonderful departments that we get to work with and the various community groups that we've been able to also bring in to the planning and community development work. And I think there's just so much more to do, so I'm very excited for that for many reasons. And I do feel like I've accomplished quite a bit, but I'm also very excited for this next step in my own journey.
Jenny Raitt's date of departure is set for June 3rd. And ACMi News has been told the town will start the process of hiring a new director immediately. And break out the shears. A long-awaited ribbon cutting took place on Thursday, May 5th to celebrate the opening of the brand new community center at Academy and Maple Streets.
Work on this renovation project began more than 2 years ago and cost $8.5 million in town capital funds. The Council on Aging and Arlington Seniors Association raised more than $170,000 from area families and businesses. That money went towards the center's new furnishings, a cafe, library, art room, pool room, and yoga room. The public was invited to attend the ribbon-cutting ceremony. Town leaders now call this finished project an excellent entryway to even more community activities. For more information on this stunning new project, you can contact Planning and Community Development Director Jennifer Raitt at 781-316-3092 or Christine Shaw, Director of the Arlington Council on Aging at 781-316-3400. For the first time since it was founded nearly 75 years ago, Arlington's Housing Authority has hired a Latina to an executive-level leadership position. The Board of Commissioners welcomed Mira Cruz as the new Assistant Executive Director at its April 21st board meeting. Cruz joins the Housing Authority at a time when it's embarking on extensive and costly building renovation projects in its senior and family housing portfolio. Cruz previously served as Assistant Director of Occupancy for the Boston Housing Authority and Leasing Officer at the Cambridge Housing Authority. Cruz is bilingual in English and Spanish. Nearly 70 AHA residents identify as Latino, or 6% of the total resident population.
Roughly 3,000 people toured the new high school's Performing Arts and STEAM wings on Saturday, April 30th. STEAM, as you probably know, stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Mathematics. You'll recall that the new wing opened to students on February 28th, and the auditorium opened late last month. Among the 19 stops in the self-guided tour, attendees visited the new auditorium, chorus and band rooms, science labs, and classrooms. Visitors also learned about sustainability features of the new building, which were a core component of the building's design. The school's architects were also on hand to share plans for Phase 2 construction, which is already underway. A virtual tour and photos, as well as Phase 2 construction information, are available at the project website at ahsbuilding.org. Again, go to ahsbuilding.org for the latest updates on Arlington's new high school.
Arlington's police department is joining the nationwide movement to mark Mental Health Awareness Month this May. The department will be providing information about their efforts to assist residents with mental health concerns. As part of the department's jail diversion program, clinician Christina Valeri often responds with fellow officers to provide mental health support, resources, and emergency assistance to Arlington residents. ACMi News talked to Ms. Valeri recently at a Coffee with the Chief event at Town Hall, and she explained her role in the complex field of law enforcement.
So I'm hired through the Enberg Center, which is in Bedford, and I'm hired as the jail diversion clinician, but that's kind of a bigger title, and people get nervous when you hear jail diversion because I'm not trying to send people to jail, I'm actually trying to keep people out of jail. So I just refer to myself as the clinician through the Arlington Police Department. I do a lot of outreach. I do all of the mental health outreach. It's a co-response with the police department. So I'll arrive on scene if someone's going through a mental health crisis and try to de-escalate the situation, divert them from having to go to the hospital unless that's a huge safety concern, and then get them into treatment.
How different is this approach when it comes to the Arlington PD as opposed to other police departments nationwide? I mean, this is a pretty progressive approach, and restorative justice is huge when it comes to the Arlington PD.
So we were one of the first, I think it was one of the first 10 facilities to become a mental health training site. So we now have all of our officers are mental health, I think it's called mental health first aid certified, so they're all trained in it. So even prior to my appearance here, our officers did have a different approach because they need more mental health background. So I think a lot of other towns also have mental health first aid training, but they have myself, so I'll do most of the outreach. I do most of the de-escalation. I do a lot of the let's figure out what's going on and let's get you into treatment. So I think compared to other towns that don't have this approach, you're seeing less of the repeat people. You're more so getting them into treatment or getting them in front of a therapist to talk through whatever's going on instead of, okay, like Jimmy's just freaking out at mom again today. So we're kind of changing the way that police are reacting to the mental health calls.
You may recall the town of Arlington hired recovery coach Thomas Casavaro last month. Casavaro is available to help residents with any concerns relating to substance use disorder, recovery, and addiction. If you need emergency mental health assistance, call the APD dispatch at 781-643-1212.
Russian President Vladimir Putin could be poised to formally declare war on Ukraine within days, abandoning his so-called military operation terminology.
It was first reported the Russians were hoping to have a complete and total victory in the Ukraine by May 9th, Russia's Victory Day. Given the might of the Ukrainian army, that's not going to happen.
So what happens now? ACMi News talked to Natasha and John Sennett, residents of Kyiv, to get up to speed on what is happening in the Ukrainian capital.
Victory Day is set for Monday, May the 9th. That's to commemorate the Nazi surrender to Russia in 1945. There's a lot of press right now stating that Vladimir Putin, realizing that this invasion of Ukraine is not going Russia's way, may declare war, which would give him more men and materiel. How concerning is that to hear news like that?
Truthfully, you can change the name of it all you want, but they're running out of resources and they're not going to put trained guys on the ground. They're going to put cannon fodder in. So I feel horrible for the Ukrainians, and I feel horrible for the young Russians that are going to get slaughtered on the battlefield. But as far as a major concern,
mobilization, then he can
mobilize. He can mobilize people, but they're untrained they're going up against trained Ukrainians, and it's a slaughter out there for the Russians.
I would imagine if he ramps things up and declares war, if that's the case, then Kyiv would be the crown jewel of the invasion. How concerning is that to you, being residents of Kyiv and you've decided to stay?
I'm not concerned, honestly. At this point, now that I've seen how Ukrainian military forces are fighting, and they're just, seems like it's a symphony for them. It's just, they get better and better at it. Very professional. To me, it's just, I'm not concerned, for one, because Russia doesn't have enough troops. Even if they mobilize everybody, I don't think, and then weapons, where are they gonna get those?
Ukraine is getting a lot of Western shipments. I mean, they're just coming in here every day now. So you have to look at this realistic. When you live here, it's a different story. Like, you see everything in the Western news, oh my God. But what it comes down to is like the amount of land between where the Russian troops are now and Kyiv to get here. Do you know how far they have to come across? It's very far. And the Ukrainians, they meet stiffer resistance the further they come into Ukraine. So are we concerned? Of course we're concerned, but are we worried? Not really that worried. We have faith in the Ukrainian military.
And I'm looking at Russian and I'm just style and everything, and just I'm thinking, we were afraid of that. The whole world was afraid of that. That is just not okay. That's just, I don't know, it just kind of opened up and the truth came to light, so to speak. So it's just many of them. They're mostly untrained, and people they mobilized, so-called troops, is just from the villages, and some of them had
never even seen a working toilet. Some of these people have not even seen a working toilet in where they live.
And some of them, when they captured them, had slippers made out of wood. So to me, it's just like, not to say, it's not that I'm making fun of somebody, but it's just, at the same time, you claim that you were this army that the whole world should be scared of, and then here they are in the reality, and they're just cruel, and there are many of them, and they're angry because they came from this tiny villages that were they don't know life, they don't know working toilets, they don't know what asphalt or street light is, and it's brutality. That's mostly what it comes down to. But as far as the style of fighting, they're not fighters, they're just basically criminals.
Чтобы давить нас оттуда. Вот поэтому он Украину выбрал. Ему, в принципе, на Украину, на украинцев наплевать.
Ну, чтобы они были против нас.
Не знаю, но это очень плохо.
Мне кажется, чтобы они могли защищаться.
Чтобы дальше продвигалась война, чтобы вместо того, чтобы остановить ее, знаете, как зачем дрова подкидывать в печь? Чтобы шел ярче огонь. И здесь то же самое.
Помочь ей сдержать наш удар.
Россию хотят завоевать.
Потому что Россию ненавидят, хотят, чтобы Россия, как говорится, вся изнутри, как сказать, ослабела. Чтобы победить ее. Но Россия непобедима.
First of all, they're uneducated, mostly. So that element that they're talking to, just random people in the street, that's that mass. That's been, I call them radioactive, because they just kind of they got that radiation poisoning, which I call propaganda. And you just kind of, the reason is that it's just because once it's in you, it's just not that hard to break it.
When we talked, I think it was the first time we talked, you were telling me that it was tough to get your hands on weapons and food. How has that changed as far as procuring the essentials of life, food? And also, you were in the Marines, John. Have you been able to get your hands on any weapons to defend yourself?
We have not sought weapons because once they pulled out of Kyiv, we didn't feel the necessity for them. As far as foodstuffs and things of that nature, it's almost like the war isn't happening. Like, not everything that we were used to is there, but I'd say, what, 75% of it is? And like, some products have been removed that were made in Russia. Obviously, any Russian products. Yeah. And I'll tell you this, Coca-Cola no longer exists because they're still working in Russia.
Yeah.
So now Pepsi you can buy. I'm not a big Pepsi or Coke drinker, but like, I was in the store the other day and I'm like, oh, that's just like some off-brand cola and Pepsi.
We just passed Easter, obviously, and you guys are going through hell over there. How have things changed for you spiritually?
Well, on Easter we went. It was a midnight service, even though it was curfew, but we went not to the cathedral, which we normally go to. We went to this small little church, like somewhere in the...
St. George's.
Yeah, St. George's is a tiny little church. It's beautiful and cute and small. And the father basically said he was going to start midnight liturgy either way. The services started at midnight. As the services start, so do the air raids. And through the entire service.
The bells of St. Michael's we could hear, because it's St. Michael's Monastery. It's a very big monastery close by to that little church. As the liturgy started, you could hear the air raids while the bells were going. Spiritually, though, I'll answer your question. My spirituality really hasn't changed. It was always rather strong.
I guess it's just your relationship with God. Basically, if you didn't have one, you will have one, I think. Because I don't know who can be an atheist when you have bombs and rockets dropping. It's just, I don't, psychologically, even if you were an atheist before, I think you would reconsider.
A U.S. State Department spokesman says it would be a great irony if Moscow used the occasion of Victory Day to declare war, because, quote, it would allow them to arm themselves in a way they're not able to do now. And that would be tantamount to revealing to the world that their war effort has so far been a colossal failure.
Back on the home front, annual town meeting began April 25th. In its fourth session this week, town meeting members voted overwhelmingly to support the Select Board's position by endorsing a ban on single-use plastic water bottles, sized 1 liter and smaller. This applies only to non-carbonated, non-flavored water, with an exemption included for emergencies. This ban will take effect November 1st. Meantime, town meeting is moving along. It's held virtually, convening every Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m., until all articles are heard. ACMi is providing live coverage of the town meeting on the government channel, Comcast 22, RCN 614, and Verizon 26, and streaming live at acmi.tv/govlive. ACMi will also rebroadcast each week's session multiple times throughout the week. Stay with ACMi for the latest developments in Arlington's Town Meeting 2022. For years now, ACMi Sports has been bringing you events from Arlington High School, events like football, baseball, hockey, and softball.
And now, whammo! Have you been brushing up on your dump and swing, your low release, or dare I say it, your scuba? Get ready for some ultimate frisbee. The Pumas are Arlington High School's open ultimate team. They were formed when a cadre of young disc slingers graduated from the Ottoson Middle School's Fine Ocelots program and then invaded the high school and supplanted the former loosely organized Frisbee Club in the spring of 2015. Puma coach John Rice says his team competes in the spring season as an open team against other area ultimate squads.
We have practices or games 5 days a week, and we go to a lot of tournaments on the weekends where we play teams from all over Massachusetts, New England, and even farther away. But the most important thing from my perspective as a coach, beyond just winning the games, is really we've got good amounts of playing time for everybody on the team. And that's really what we're all about as a club sport. You know, this is a sport that a lot of people I know, a lot of people in Arlington actually started in college or younger and play or coach their whole lives. So we just want to get as many kids into the game, having fun, enjoying it. And if we can get victories along the way, like, that's a bonus.
What would you have to say to the community to help promote the sport?
So that's a big question. I guess just the basics of how it's played. It's 7 versus 7 on, it's not exactly a football field, but it's a football style field with 2 end zones. You're not allowed to run with the Frisbee or the disc. We frequently just call it a disc. If you catch it, you have to throw it to another person on your team within 10 seconds, or else it's a turnover. Meanwhile, the 7 people on the opponent's team are trying to intercept or knock the disc to the ground. If they do that, that's a turnover, and the team that was just on defense instantly turns into offense, and they're trying to score by throwing to a player in their end zone. So there's a lot of action. It's pretty nonstop. There's no downs like football or that kind of thing.
As a coach, what are some aspirations you have for both the team during the season and for the sport itself?
For the team, I mean, we'd like world domination would be priority number 1, of course. No, I'm joking. I think the team, we're really looking, there's 3 different divisions in Massachusetts, 1, 2, and 3. And we vary which you select which division you're in based on how competitive your season has been and how you fared against other teams at different levels. We're hoping to go Division 1 this year. I would love to pull that off and have some competitive games against some of the Massachusetts powerhouses out there, like Amherst and Lexington and Four Rivers. If we can do that, it'd be great. But, we have so much to learn, and it's so fun to coach because there's so many different strategies and skills and stuff. But that would be my hope for the team this year. And more importantly than that, just that everybody have a great time.
And may I say, in my no longer tender years, I still got it. If you wish to learn more about the Pumas and this quite amazing sport, just go to arlingtonultimate.org. Again, that's arlingtonultimate.org. Have you ever considered playing a part in broadcasting Arlington High School sports? Calling a game maybe, or working behind the camera at an exciting AHS athletic event?
We are giving you a chance to learn and have a lot of fun at the same time. Anim Osmani, our intern Devin DeStefano, and volunteer Rafa Caetano all took part in the recent classic matchup between Burlington High School and the Spy Ponders on April 27th.
Heck, we even managed to drag ACMi News Director Jeff Barnt to Buzzell Field to call the game. And if he can do it, we know you can handle it.
Welcome to Buzzell Field on this Wednesday night, where it's going to be Burlington High School girls varsity softball against Arlington High's softball team. We welcome you tonight. Right now, Burlington is practicing, and we will be underway in just a few minutes. While I do have the time, I want to mention our production team out here at the field at Buzzell Field. We have Ruhan Sharma Sunasia on camera, Anim the Dream Osmani, who was producing, you may hear him in the background, calling the shots, Devin DeStefano, and last but certainly not least, all the way from Sao Paulo, Brazil, Rafaela Aparecida Pacheco Caetano from beautiful downtown Sao Paulo, covering your game tonight. Glad you could be with us. Comes the pitch. Got all of that. Goes to left center, past both outfielders. Burlington is going to score. Left fielder throwing it in to the cutoff person, and she is going to stay at third with a triple, a solid triple Beautiful shot to left center field. She got all that.
Number 20, a sophomore, Mary Kate Hayes.
All right, we have a 1-0 ball game now. Burlington on top. Piper Guiney still hanging in there, trying to get Shelby Lucente to cover more ground there on the bags. That is the game. She struck out, and that is your final score.
Your final
8-1
score,
Burlington.
8, Arlington 1.
And we want to thank you so much again for joining us. We want to thank our crew, Ruhan Sharma Sunasia, Anim Ismani, Devin DeStefano, Rafael Caetano, and me. I'm Jeff Barn for ACMi. We thank you so much for joining us here at Buzzell Field. The next game is against Melrose High School on Tuesday, May the 3rd at 4:15. Thanks so much for joining us. Good night, everybody.
Well, Jeff is no Vin Scully or Mel Allen, or is he? ACMi always has fun covering a variety of Arlington sports. If you want to play a part, just visit our website at acmi.tv.
Or give us a call at 781-777-1115 or pay us a visit at 85 Park Avenue. We guarantee you will have a blast.
That'll do it for this week's edition of ACMi News. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm James Milan.
And I'm Drew Weisberg. Before we leave you, Town Hall was alive with the sound of music on Saturday, April 30th, as Arlington High School students filled the auditorium with their song.
And an enthusiastic audience attended the school's latest Pops concert, and they did not disappoint.
The students proving once again there is never, ever too many notes.
Enjoy. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you next week.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ACMi News. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll find us at youtube.com/ACMi News. If you have any news tips for us or wish to become a citizen journalist, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by ACMI Studio A at 85 Park Avenue.